Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to install Linux from a USB alongside Windows 7. For those of you who don't know, Linux is a separate operating system that can be installed alongside Windows, alongside the Mac operating system, or on a computer with no operating system installed. It's free and it's easy to install it. It doesn't take up much space on the hard disk, and it's fun. One thing about Linux is that there are many different distributions of Linux. Before you go ahead installing Linux, you should definitely know which distribution you want and which one is best for you. Once you know that, you can go ahead and follow along with this video. One thing you'll need is a USB that has at least 1 GB of space. First thing you want to do is open up your web browser and type in Linux Live USB. Go to the first link, which is Linux Live USB Creator, linuxliveusb.com. Go to the Download tab and press on Download Lili. Once you download it, you should just install something, and then you should have Linux Live USB Creator. Once you have it, double click it. The first thing you want to do is choose the USB key. I already have a Linux Live USB key, so I'm not going to do everything, but I'm going to show you how it would be done. So let's just say I choose this one. I'm going to go to Download, select my favorite Linux, and what this is the different distributions that I was talking about earlier. Select the distribution that you want, and once you have one selected, press Download Automatically. This will look for the fastest mirror and download it automatically. Since I already have one downloaded, I'm going to go and find it through a source. And if your USB is in FAT32, then this persistence will show up. If it's not, you need to select this option, format the key in FAT32, and then this persistence should show up. Slide the slider to the most that it goes for the persistence. What this will do is it's basically the RAM that the operating system uses before sorry about that, I don't know what that was all about. Before it's installed on the hard drive, so it can't use your computer's RAM, it has to use a self-contained RAM. So you can either choose to select or unselect the hide created files on key. You should definitely format the key, and enable launching Linux Live in Windows is not necessary for what we're going to be doing. After you've done that, just press this lightning bolt to start the installation. Since mine is already installed, I'm not going to install it, but once you have one installed, you're going to shut down your computer and start it up again, and this time you're going to boot from the USB. If you don't know how to boot from the USB, basically what you do is when the computer first starts up, for a few seconds there's a splash screen, and this is before the operating system boots up. The computer's motherboard is in charge now. So either you'll be pressing the F8 or F12 key is very common. The escape key is what I have, and rarely it's the tab key. What this will do is bring up a boot menu and allow you to choose where you want to boot from. Sorry, this is really annoying. Choose where you want to boot from, and you're going to boot from your USB. So make sure your USB is plugged in and shut down your computer, and I'll be back. Hey guys, I'm back, and now I'm going to be booting into Linux from that USB that we created. Make sure your USB is plugged in, and I'm going to start up the computer. Now I'm going to keep hitting the escape key, just so when the splash screen comes up, I don't miss it. Alright, so this is the boot menu, or it's the startup menu, but for most computers it'll take you to the boot menu. Now I'm going to use the arrow keys to select startup menu, I'm going to select boot menu and press enter. And then I'm going to choose where I want to boot from. Again, I'm going to use the arrow keys to make my selection. So I'm choosing my SanDisk Cruiser, and I'm going to press enter. And now I'm booting into Linux. I'll be back when I'm done booting. Hey guys, so I booted into Ubuntu, and there's a menu asking me whether I want to try Ubuntu or install Ubuntu. If you're unfamiliar with Linux, you might have just selected a random distribution when I told you to select a distribution. So if you're not sure or you want to just try out the operating system you're going to install, press try Ubuntu. Now, trying is like, what I mean is that Ubuntu is very different from, for example, Mint. So it really does make a difference. It really does make a difference which distribution you're choosing, which is why I recommend trying it out if you've never used this distribution. So this distribution looks like this. It has a nice dock on the side, and it's pretty easy to use. You should definitely do some research on your distribution that you're planning to get. But once you've looked around and you know how it works, what you want to do is install Ubuntu. So on most on most Linux distributions, there's going to be some sort of an icon on the desktop to install Ubuntu. So I'm going to double click that, and here is the installation screen. Sorry about the quality, but I don't have a screen recording software in Ubuntu yet. So just choose your language and then press continue. And it's going to give me some requirements, at least 4.4 gigabytes of available drive space, and is connected to the internet. So once you are done, once you've met all the requirements, you can either select download updates while installing, which is, it's nice. I kind of recommend that. That way you don't have to go and do an update after installation, but I'm not going to do that just for the sake of time. Then press continue, so you probably can't see. After you press continue, it'll take you to a screen that looks like this. You want to select something else. Neither of these top options unless you want to completely replace Windows 7. So select something else and then press continue. This will bring you to a screen where you can resize the partitions yourself and get the partitions ready for installing Linux. What you want to do is find the partition that Windows 7 is on. It's probably going to be your largest partition. For me, it's Linux calls it dev SDA2, and it's the type is NTFS. You'll probably know which one is yours because of the size of it and how much is used. You can kind of estimate how big your Windows 7 partition is. So press over there and then select change. This is going to take you to a window that looks like this. You want to edit the partition. So up over here is going to be how many megabytes this partition is, and you probably want to get a calculator and subtract about 50 gigabytes. You can subtract 50, you can subtract 60. Personally, I'm subtracting 60. You can go up to 75. Anything after that is not really useful unless you plan on having a lot of documents. Like I mean a lot of documents, but you probably don't need that. So what you're going to do is find the calculator, and since there are 1024 megabytes in a gigabyte, you want to find 60 times 1024 or 50 times 1024, whichever one you want to do. So I'm going to do 50 times 1024, and I got it's 51,200. So then I'm going to subtract 51,200 from this. Again, I'm not going to change this to 51,200, but I'm going to subtract 51,200 from that. So I'm going to enter on my calculator 938,658 minus 52,100. I already did this. I'm just doing this for explanation. So I got 886,558. So then I'm just going to enter that number right here. Again, that's going to be the size of my Windows partition after I take away 1024 times 50. Since I already have my free space partition, I'm not going to actually go ahead with that. But what you would do is do not use this partition, do not format this partition, and don't select any mount point. Then just press OK when you're done. Once you've done that, you should notice that there is some free space that is created. The free space should be under the partition that you just resized, or under the last partition. And I have 61,440 megabytes, which is about 60 gigabytes. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to add a partition. Just go to that add button right there, and you're going to add a partition that is logical. So right here the logical should be selected. The size should be about 20 gigabytes. Since I used a 60 gigabyte, I have 60 gigabytes of free space, so I'm making mine 20 gigs. 15 gigabytes is also fine, but I wouldn't go lower than that. So once again, just pull out your calculator and find 20 times 1024. And I have 20,480. So I'm going to type 20,480. And location for the new partition should be at the beginning, and use as an ext4 journaling file system. And over here for the mount point, choose slash, one second, you just want to choose just the slash. So the mount point should be the slash. And once you're done with that, press OK. And that should add a partition. So I use 20 gigabytes of my free space for the root partition. Next is the boot partition. So you're going to go to where it says free space, go to add, and now you're going to create a boot partition. Boot partition, over here just type in 512. You really don't need a lot. 512 megabytes is enough. And new partition at the beginning, ext4 journaling file system, and over here go to slash boot, slash boot, and then press OK. The next one is the swap partition. Now this kind of depends on how much RAM you're going to use, how much RAM you have. So if you have 4 gigabytes of RAM, I recommend 8 gigabytes of the swap partition. If you're low on hard disk space, low on free space that you're going to be using, you can go down to the same amount that the RAM is. For example, if you have 16 gigabytes of RAM, you should use 16 gigabytes of swap. If you have more than that, you can. If you have less than that, you can double it or go 1.5 times as much. Since I have 4 gigabytes of RAM, I'm going to do 8 gigabytes of swap. So go to free space and add a partition. So 4 times 1024 is 4028, 4020. So right there, just type in 4028. Oopsies. And ext4 journaling file system and /swap. Oh, sorry, there is no /swap. What you're going to do is ext4 journaling file system, you're going to go to swap area. So once again, scroll down and swap area. Now, these settings are specific to Ubuntu. If you're installing a different type of Linux, yours might be slightly different, but I don't think so. So this should probably work for whatever distribution you're trying to install. Press OK, and now there's one more thing we want to do in the free space. In the remaining free space, let me just wait till it's done resizing it. In the remaining free space, create the home partition. So add, scroll down over here, and choose the home partition. And over here you can just use everything that you have. So just leave it at the default, ext4 journaling file system, and just press OK. So now that'll take all of our free space and make it home partition. And when you're done with that, you can just press install now. So that's what I'm going to do. And now it's just going to install Ubuntu. It's going to ask us our time zone. I'm at New York time zone, so I'm going to continue. It just asks me a couple things while it's installing. The keyboard layout, and you can just press random things on your keyboard to check out the layout of it. Usually English US, and over here you want to do without anything after the English US. You want the defaults. And once you've got the keyboard layout, just press continue. And then you can choose your name. And your computer name. Pick a username. You can choose a password. And choose whether you want to log in automatically or require a password to log in, and then just press continue. Again, all of this is while Ubuntu is installing. So it's going to take some time to install. You can look through it, read what it says, press the next button, check it out, and it's going to be installing. It might take a while. I'll be back when it's done installing. Alright, I'm back and the installation is complete. It didn't take too long. So now I'm just going to go ahead and restart the computer. Alright, now I'm back, and when I start up the computer, I have this grub menu. In the grub menu, I can choose to boot into Ubuntu, Windows 7, the safe mode of Ubuntu. So I just booted into Ubuntu, and that's how you install install Linux with the USB. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please post a comment, because I know this could be really confusing, and I'll try to answer. Thanks.